Hello, Michael Rosenblat, and welcome to the Crypto Insider interview.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
How does it feel to be one half of the team which created Do I Own a Shitcoin.com?
It was a fun ride, and it still is. It's really just a passion project. There's not too much to say about Do I Own a Shitcoin. My One of my business partners, Aaron, and I created it in probably like 3 hours as a joke. We pretty much pulled all the coins from CoinMarketCap, made some funny output answers based on market cap and some things that we thought were funny, shared it around, and in the first 24 hours, we had around 40,000 engaging users on the site. From there, we decided to leverage that as a way to share some knowledge that we have. I've been involved in the space for pretty deeply for the past 5 years. So we focused a lot on our blog, and I was writing a review a day, mostly about different coins, but some technical developments as well. And over the past couple of weeks, I've slowed down a bit on writing content for it, just because I've been busy. But it's a fun passion project. We have a lot of people subscribing to our email list every day. People email us, reach out to us, and tell us they learn a lot. And that's really our main goal. And that's where it's at. So it's just a fun project.
I remember when I first discovered the website, I think it was about this time last year, or maybe about 10 months ago or something. But anyway, I got so excited that I looked up all the top coins from CoinMarketCap at the time. And it was just hilarious to see how the website doesn't just generate the same answer for something that isn't Bitcoin, but has something special for each one of them. It's just a fun ride to actually input the three letters, what do you call that, the ticker for each coin, and then see what you get.
Yeah, no, and actually I met you through the launch of Do I Own a Shitcoin. I remember you wrote an article about it and about us, and I reached out to you saying thanks for the article, and then since then we've been chatting pretty consistently. So
Yeah, it
so
was
it's
the
also
same.
leveraged me to what was that?
It was the same with Piper Coin, who was also part of the show, and I got him interviewed in November. The same with Crypto Brecky, who joined for an interview last month. So I guess in that early phase when I was also beginning to write in this space, I was also looking for people starting new projects and doing something fun or interesting. And when I stumbled upon Do I Own a Shitcoin, I was hooked. I didn't do anything else for about a couple of hours, just look at what kind of results I get. And then I started to read your blog posts a few weeks later, and I realized that you guys know quite a lot about shitcoins. Like, I never really spent time researching into cryptocurrencies that don't really have a lot going on, but you do. So what was this incentive of yours to actually look into cryptocurrencies that can objectively be called shitcoins?
So I've always been into the altcoin market. So when I entered the Bitcoin space, I entered it from a trading perspective because that's really more my background. Um, so from the get-go, I wasn't just buying and selling Bitcoin to US dollar. I was buying Bitcoin with the intent of speculating on these other coins. So from the onset of me entering the space, that's where my interest was. And from a technical point of view, I like view Litecoin as not just another shitcoin out there, but a meaningful currency that is a good test net for Bitcoin and serves a good use case. So the Do I Own a Shitcoin site isn't all about shitcoins in the sense that they have no value. That was more just a humorous name, but they're really just about learning about all altcoins aside from Bitcoin. And we feel they deserve to have a proper platform, I guess, and that's what it turned into. From having that sort of broader technical and financial background, I can read about altcoins all day.
Yeah, I remember the first action that I made on the website was to look for BCH, and see what you think about it, and if you're basically paid by Bitcoin.com or you're just some freelancers around the internet who decided to pursue this fun project.
Yeah. Yeah, no, just freelancers pursuing a fun project. There's been a lot of annoying conspiracy theories. We've had a lot of haters email us. There were some projects threatening, desist letters, which was all talk. We didn't get any cease and desist, and all the conspiracies out there. So there were people saying, "Oh, what a great way to gather emails!" In the first day, we gathered over 1,000 emails. Today we have well over 3 or 4,000 emails. We're probably getting realistically 20 to 30 signups a day, just off of pure organic traction. And we use that email list simply to send, articles that we write and send news and funny updates that we have about the industry. So it's pretty funny to see conspiracy theories about it. People looked into my name and were like, he's been into this. This is just a marketing ploy for us to sell emails to other companies. It's funny to see people overthinking it. We were just freelancers. The site got a lot of attention, which I'm happy about. And, today is just a fun project. That's really all it is.
Was there any case when you wrote about a project and you classified it as a shitcoin, but you changed your mind in the process and said to yourselves, maybe that this deserves a second chance and a review?
No. So most of the tiers, like when we call a coin a low tier shitcoin or a mid tier shitcoin or a high tier shitcoin, that's mostly based off of risk of investment. So for the most part, if it's a very tiny market cap coin, it's going to be a low tier shitcoin. If there's more liquidity to it and there's a lot of activity from a technical and financial perspective, then it's going to be a mid-level or high-level coin. But if you actually read our summaries, there's many cases where we call a coin a low tier shitcoin. And then when you actually read the content of the blog, it's not only interesting, but we're actually pretty optimistic about the future. And then we summarize it by saying it's a low tier shitcoin, but if they do X, Y, and Z, then maybe they'll have a promising future, but it's high risk. So no, we haven't retroactively gone back. It's something that we could do in the future, but I don't think people take that too seriously. I don't think, but you never know. There's some crazies out there.
So do you own any shitcoins?
I own some shitcoins. Some random ones that I own are Pearl, PIRL. That's a low tier mega shitcoin right there. What else? Man, I don't even trade much these days, honestly. I'm a bit more on the business end of the industry. I work full time in the crypto space, so I don't trade too much. But yeah, I'm holding Pearl, Loopring, Litecoin, Ethereum, and a bunch of random ones. I'm blanking out right now.
So when you're not writing about shitcoins, what is it that you do in the space that you said you work full time?
Yeah. So I am primarily consultant and writer and community manager. So sometimes I'll consult with ICOs or recently STOs. I just got my first STO client. STO is black and white. But so mostly what I do is I'll help on the content side, tokenomics. So generally an ICO will reach out to me, mostly through referrals, sometimes through main sites like Upwork, but a large majority is just through a referral network that I have. And I'll generally hop on a call with them. There'll be a new project. They'll say, we need a white paper written perhaps. So I can get a white paper written with the proper formatting and content. I have a graphics guy that I work with also. And I'll also go over their token model offering, right? So there's better token models out there, et cetera, making sure inflation rates are proper and that you're honestly raising a right amount of money. So once I help them with the tokenomic side of things, I can help create a white paper. And then I'll generally come up with a content plan to write a bunch of their Medium posts, introduce them to publishers that I know in the space for press releases, and use my connections however I can for them. So that's mostly what I do. I work with some ICOs, some STOs. I also work with some direct coins. You know, a current project that I'm working with is called Veil, VEIL. They're a privacy coin project. Um, and yeah, so with them, for example, I'm writing a lot of their blog posts. I'm helping them with content, introducing them to publishers, and sort of helping to ramp up the best way for them to articulate a lot of their technical stuff. So I'll work with developers and then write some technical content, things like that. Um, what else? The same partner, another project that I'm working on is called Tradenomics. And right now, that's sort of on hold. We're kind of pivoting directions, but that was actually created with my good friend and partner Aaron, who I created Do I Own Shitcoin with, and that's basically just a sophisticated reporting portal for. It was originally for retail traders, but I think it was a little too complicated for all the beta users that we had at the time. So now we are pivoting to more business to business interests, which we're getting, and sort of the hedge fund industry, since that's really my background.
So what is that
So
background that you speak of? Are you into finance, or do you have a degree in economics or investing or something?
yeah, so I'm a self programmer, I guess, from early on. But I hate programming. I hate developing. It makes me rip my hair out. So, anyways, my background before diving into the crypto space full time, I worked for a financial technology firm on Wall Street in the city. You know, I live right outside New York City. Um, and while I was there, I was consulting with hedge funds and prime brokerages and managers to implement custom software. So generally, a sale would close. One of our sales guys would close a deal. They want to speak to someone more technical. That's where I came in, and I had to discuss all the assets that they're trading, which brokers they're working with, and the whole operation from the start of day to the end of day of their fund. And basically, we would implement software to automate some of their operations or create risk dashboards, order management systems, trade execution systems. Um, and then I moved up to become head of our fixed connectivity department, FIX. You may have seen that in the crypto space now. Some exchanges are implementing FIX, which is just, it's very simple. It's just a trading protocol. So when you send out trades or receive trades, instead of doing it through like an API, like a web-based API, you could do it through the FIX protocol. So I was head of our FIX department. And then in November of 2017, as crypto started to boom, I was financially fortunate enough to be able to leave that firm and take the leap into self-employment. And that's where I am now. So when I took the leap, you know, I didn't want to be a fixed guy for an exchange, and I didn't necessarily want to consult for hedge funds anymore. So the best use of my skills was to help on the financial side, go over tokenomics with these projects, and then also understand their tech layers and create documents that can be digested by normal people. And that's been keeping me afloat, and that's, you know, kind of where I am now.
So wait a minute, Mike. There is this trend going on Twitter which tells people who write content, and especially journalists, to learn to code. And you have learned how to code. You are actually a coder and a programmer at core, but you have decided instead of coding to write content. How does that even work?
So I guess I wouldn't classify myself as a journalist, right? So like I said, I do broader consulting, and then I help create content, whether it be a white paper or diagramming or helping to diagram the architecture, right? So if you ask me to program something right now or develop something, I would be way out of my element. I'm not up to date on the latest, you know, I don't even have a good workflow for it right now. But from working at the firm that I worked at in the city, I was basically doing project and software management, right? So I still had to be somewhat technically minded and have some sense of what's doable and what's not, and have a basic sense of, okay, we have to pull in this data from this source and this data from this source, and we have to save these variables to a database at the minimum. You know, there's certain things to think about technically. So those are the types of skills that I like to use, more the social and management and consulting side of things. I'm not looking to get nitty gritty and create smart contracts or actually create blockchains. So compared to being a developer, when you're on the social side of things and you're on the consulting side of things, it's a little broader. It's not quite as tangible, a little bit more difficult to explain. But at the surface, that's really what it is. I fell into project management and consulting more than I did actually being a developer.
I guess this discussion going on in the space about STOs and how they are different from 2017's ICOs, and what do they bring new to the table?
Sure. So first off, there's a big difference between an ICO and an STO, of course. One is that you're selling security tokens, and the other is that you're selling utility tokens. Right now, the STO world is very small. You can't even find statistics really on how much money has been invested in STOs as of now. But at a big picture, I'm pretty much helping the STOs in the same way that I'm helping the ICOs, except I'm not writing their white paper, mostly because they don't even have a white paper, actually. A big buzzword that I think we'll be seeing more and more from people who aren't savvy in the finance world is prospectus. So a prospectus is really a white paper, but it's legally binding. And it's really defining the offering that investors will get from the selling of the security token. So there's attorneys creating these prospectuses, and basically I'm just there to help them, write content, to be honest. I'm basically writing their Medium page articles and helping to articulate, working with the developers to really articulate what it is that they're doing and putting it in perspective for an investor. So that's what I do with the STOs. I'm very bullish on the STO movement. I'm all for it. And, there's a lot that could be talked about with that, with the future of STOs and what's involved and why they're much more complicated than just a utility token.
So, how did you get involved in the space for the first time? What was the factor that drew you into Bitcoin, and what kept you working in the space?
So how I actually literally got into the industry was through a friend of mine back in 2013. He told me about Bitcoin. He's a very techie guy, and he's a great friend of mine from high school. And I went over to his place. I said, "Hey, explain this to me." So I understood how a regular database worked, right? I've used MySQL and Postgres and different databases, but I was never too certain, or I was never savvy with these decentralized networks. They're obviously not as popular. So he started explaining that concept to me. I found it just intellectually intriguing. And then he said, check this out. He brought me to his room where he had 2 mining rigs. He had an ASIC rig, mining at Litecoin actually, and he had a couple GPU rigs. And my inner geek came out, and I just thought they were so cool. I didn't even know really what they were doing. I just saw these machines on that looked badass. And I was like, dude, tell me what these are. So then I learned more about the mining, and right on the spot, I said, hey, can I give you $200 and you send me some Bitcoin? And he said, yeah, sure. So I just gave him cash right there. And within 24 hours of me really learning about it, I was fortunate enough to be able to get Bitcoin in my wallet. The next day I created a Cryptsy account. I don't know if you've ever heard of Cryptsy. They were one of the biggest exchanges in 2014. And then they actually shut down. There was a big conspiracy about their CEO leaving with the funds, running away to China. It was one of those, but it was a very well-trusted exchange at the time, and it was a big deal. I traded on Cryptsy. The first altcoin that I bought was Redcoin, RDD. That went up like 3x. And at the time, I was still working in the city, where my clients, pissed themselves over a 4% increase at these hedge funds. So when I go from 4% and then I see one of my investments casually go up 400%, I'm like, wait a second, is this legit? Like I rechecked the math like 5 times, and it wasn't a lot of money, but it was like, geez. Ever since then, I was hooked. That's what did it.
So that's what made traditional finance boring to you. Just the idea that at most you can get a single-digit profit, whereas in crypto you can actually get lucky with a random investment.
Yeah, I mean, I'm human. So when I saw my Bitcoin value go up like 2x in like a day or two, which can happen in the stock market. I mean, you could buy penny stocks and there are big moves. But I thought the concept of a coin was just more fun than a stock. The whole thing just sold me. And I every night I started reading a lot about Bitcoin. I read the white paper, learned about exactly how the blockchain is working, exactly what data is stored in a block. I got pretty detailed and technical about it, and I just found it fascinating, and that's ultimately why I'm in it. So I've been through. Even when I first got involved, there was a bear run. I mean, really, the only bull run in the past 5 years was 2017. So even when I got involved in 2014, when I first got involved, Bitcoin was priced at like $600, I believe, and I watched my USD value go from $600 to it went down to like 190 at one point. And I didn't even care about the US dollar value, and that's when I knew that I was becoming a believer. Like I remember my dad was like, "Hey, how's that Bitcoin stuff going?" I'm like, I'm down like 20%, in US dollar or whatever." He's like, "Ugh," and I was like, "Yeah, but my Bitcoin value is up 2x." And he's like, "Who cares?" And I was like, "He's like, you need US dollar." I'm like, "No, I'll eat on the streets. I just need Bitcoin. It's fine." And so I knew that I was into it.
That's always a funny story. And it's interesting how many mining people stories I stumble upon. As I think Crypto Brecky also told me a similar story about going to a friend's house and he showed everyone his mining rig and they all got excited. And basically that's how it all got started. But
Yeah,
just the idea that you're working in traditional finance and you're working with maybe stock market traders and brokers, and you are basically comparing your portfolio in crypto with their portfolio in whatever stocks they were investing in. That's an interesting comparison. And I guess you had that ideal scenario of a side by side comparison
yeah.
to get
And
you
then
started.
also, even while I was working at the firm I worked at, I always knew that I wanted to start my own company or at least try to build my own products because I like building things. So compared to the traditional equities market, also saw a lot of opportunity and a lot of products that still need to be made in this market, which also is pretty eye-opening, right? And that's why I got involved, and I'm, helping projects. I created Tradeostics with my buddy, do I own a shitcoin, and hopefully more projects will be created. But basically, the space gives me and everyone who wants to build things a lot of freedom and a lot of opportunity compared to traditional markets that are very saturated right now. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much how. And the mining game is something that I think if you show anyone a mining rig and you explain to them what it is, they'll get involved. It's a good sell.
Yeah, you should keep one around the house, like a couple of video cards, even if you're not mining anything and you're
Yeah,
keeping it just as a prop.
have it turned
It's still
off like a
useful.
museum.
But in terms of convincing parents, I guess I'm not better than you are. And sometimes I get asked by my mother or my father, how's that Bitcoin price doing? And I'm like, it's still there.
Yeah.
It's still running. That's the main point.
Yeah. And it's really hard to tell people that if you look at things like the Bitcoin network right now, even the Lightning network has more channels, has more nodes on it with open channels than each day it's growing. So despite price action, for you and me and other people who are on the inside, we know that at a technical and fundamental level, it's growing. Uh, but that's something that's hard to sell to someone who's not involved. So as long as you understand that, don't get too angry and just keep moving forward.
So, how did you resist the idea of starting your own coin or doing an ICO?
Um, Mostly legal reasons. Um, legally performing an ICO is quite a headache, at least in the US, to raise funds as a private company from average Americans who aren't accredited investors. requires what's called, at the basic level, it requires what's called a Reg CF, which is a type of regulation that you have to get approved by the SEC and FINRA with. And it lets you raise, I believe, up to $1 million only. If you want to raise more than $1 million, then you have to partner with a brokerage firm that has other licenses. At the end of the day, I'm fortunate enough to be able to consult and keep myself afloat as it is. I don't need to start an ICO. Even with Tradeostics, people have asked us, hey, are you going to do an ICO? No, because there's no point. I mean, what would my token do? It's going to give you a discount? How about you just pay with Bitcoin and I'll give you a discount? I'd much rather raise funds traditionally, giving away some equity like people deserve to have if they invest in you, and go that route. Creating my own coin, I would say that I don't trust myself to hire the proper blockchain developers. I'm being serious. At a very technical level, a lot of these coins, the difference between Bitcoin and other coins are very technical reasons, right? It's not the difference between Facebook and Twitter. It's like, oh, we have a better scalable platform, we're sharding. Those aren't things that I personally can lead. And I can't reach out to someone with a broad idea saying, hey, can you come up with a better idea and I'll fund it? That's not how things go. So yeah, but I enjoy helping those projects out. Working with Veil, it's one of the first privacy coins in particular that I'm working with. It's a lot of fun, very interesting guys, and it's pretty fun to be part of a team before the mainnet launches. Watch the mainnet launch. I watched it live on January 1st. We launched our mainnet, and yeah, miners were hopping on. Our network was growing. The hash rate on the network was growing, and it's pretty neat to see a decentralized network kind of come to fruition at the moment that a mainnet launches.
Yeah, but how is Veil different from Monero or Dash or Mimblewimble protocols or even Zcash? What is the proposal for privacy?
So for Veil in particular, they're using both ring CT from Monero, as well as the zero coin protocol. So the end goal for Veil is to be an always on privacy coin. So even with coins like Pivx, right? If you have Pivx and you want to start staking, you have to actually turn, I believe it's PIV into ZPIV, right? You have to turn a base coin into a zero coin. Even doing that is not totally anonymous. And when you initially get coins, it's not totally anonymous. So with Veil, they're trying to have all base coin transactions at least be hidden, at least the amounts be hidden with ring CT shielded. And then when it comes to actually minting coins into zero coin, they're doing it from ring CT, minting it into zero coin. The end goal is to try to have it be totally private, hiding not just the amounts being sent, but also who you're sending it to and who is sending it. There's a lot of really experienced cryptographers and devs on that team. Some guys from the Pivx team are helping out, and other guys who are very well connected with other projects. They have around 25 people now on the team, and it's fun. You have to, when you join these projects, you have to do it out of passion, especially because a lot of the times you're going to get paid in that coin. So it's got to be out of passion. And that's the main selling point. They're an always on privacy coin. And honestly, we're gaining some traction now, and it's kind of exciting.
Yeah, I hope it ends up better than Dash or Verge or all the other projects that were, I guess, more focused on marketing than on developing their own technology.
Yeah, no. And, right now we're listed on a couple small exchanges. And we have the connections and potential opportunities one day maybe to be listed on larger ones. And internally, we've discussed that that's not even something we want right now, right? We don't want that kind of exposure because there's some things that we want to improve on, whether it's our wallet interface or implementing some actual protocols. I'll be honest, when we first launched our mainnet, there was a couple week period where there were some issues where people were staking orphan blocks. And even me myself, when I started staking, I was staking a lot of orphan blocks, which is pretty frustrating for someone who's staking and leaving their wallet on all day. Because an orphan block is, a block that's not accepted to the network. So if it's not accepted to the network, cool, you stake this block, but it's useless. So since then, our developers did a great job patching that up. And now with the new wallet release that came out, I've had no issues staking orphans. It's not detrimental to the network, to the security of the network, has nothing to do with privacy, but things like that are things that you'd want to really make sure is stable before gaining big exposure, whether it's big marketing, big listings, or just having a big talk, right?
Yeah, it's very fascinating to me that the more I get into the space, the more I discover that the lacking part is in the wallet side and in the user experience. I mean, we have pretty good technologies and protocols, but it's all about delivering something that can be used by the average Joe and even grandma can understand, which is difficult.
Yeah. And I think, in due time, we'll get there. It's just a matter of time. And I think we're getting closer. If you used wallets, like I used to use a wallet called Hive, which I think is no longer around back in the day. Compared to wallets out now, it's greatly improved. Even things like Coinbase. I mean, before Coinbase was around, the only ways to get it was maybe through BitInstant or mining. And for the record, mining is still the ultimate way to speculate in the market if you want to hit it big.
Yeah, sure. If you can afford the equipment and you can keep it running and you
Yeah,
have all that electricity, because in your house, you just buy a couple of video cards and try to run, you maybe stack them together and create your own rig. But if you want to compete with the big guys, it's more difficult.
for sure. So it depends. It depends what you're trying to mine at, right? So I think a lot of people overthink mining, and that's a big reason that people don't get into it. Granted, this is coming from someone who's not mining at the moment, but that's mostly because I don't have time and it's just not worth my personal headache right now. But even as a hobby, it's great, right? So if you're trying to mine at Bitcoin, you're not really going to stand a chance against Bitmain, right? But if you're doing it as a fun hobby to speculate on new coins, like Veil or like any other coins that you see on the announcement threads in Bitcoin Talk, it's a pretty fun hobby. And I have personally seen people, and I know people personally, who have really hit it big by mining these coins versus waiting for them to get on exchange and buying them. You can do well buying them if you're listed on some low-level exchanges before that coin gets listed on a place like Bittrex or Binance or Coinbase Pro, if you're that lucky. But ultimately, I've seen a lot of people just start mining at these different chains. If you can mine at one chain a day, get a couple thousand coins here, mining at a different chain a day, a couple thousand there. Especially if the network's easy, it's kind of fun. And if you're getting those coins before they're listed on any exchange, and the only way to get them is OTC, that could provide for some good value, right? And mining rigs last longer than people think. If you take care of your rig and you don't overclock it and you don't overwork it, your rig isn't going to go bad in 3 months, right? Like I know people who have a rig that lasted 16, 17, 18 months. So if you look at it as, yes, you might have to spend $4,000 to put together a 2 or 3 GPU rig. But if you look at it as, well, that expense is good. That's going to last me 18 months, that hobby. And maybe I'll make some return back. It's not as crazy as people, I think, are led to believe.
Okay.
That's
Sounds
just my
like you're trying to convince yourself that it's not a crazy activity to go on
no, no.
Bitcoin Talk and
No, it's not that. The bigger picture that I'm getting at and why I'm passionate about it is because with the amount of people entering the space, I wish there was a way for people to more easily mine and secure these networks and contribute to them rather than just making an account on Binance and hoping to buy Tron, right? Like it would be cool to see a higher percentage of people entering the space to actually explore it for what it offers. And mining is one cool thing. Even staking, dude. People don't stake. I know there's definitely a lot of people who have coins in their wallets that can be staked and they don't press the staking button.
Yeah, because
So
it takes resources. You have to use some part of your storage and processing power to be
yeah,
able to stake that coin.
yeah, no, it's true. But like, at least for me, like I'm on a MacBook Pro, which is a pretty good computer. But like, I have two wallets staking right now, and I don't know. I don't really notice much, to be honest.
Okay.
So maybe I'm just
So
lucky. I don't know.
we should end this on a positive note and talk about the expectations for the next few years for the market. You think that there will be more regulation that will make these small cryptocurrency projects, well, as you call them on your website, shitcoins, harder to generate and release on markets and get listed on exchanges? Or do you hope or believe that there will be this laissez-faire approach to coins and leave this technology to blossom and generate some new interesting researches and projects and experiments so that it matures?
Well, I can at least speak from someone living in the US that regulations, there's more regulations coming. They're becoming smarter about it, and more will continue to come. So, my opinion aside on regulations, more regulations will come in. It will stunt. You know, you can say that it'll stunt growth, but given what 85% of these cryptocurrencies have accomplished, I don't know if I would call that growth, but it will prohibit, you know, an 18-year-old in their mom's basement from starting a cryptocurrency because it's going to be seen or defined in some category financially. Um, in the next few years, I think security tokens are really going to change the way that people can invest. So I think from an investor's perspective, regulations will be good. I think it's going to spur the security token movement. And the security token movement is ultimately good because it really is getting rid of that accredited investor barrier that used to exist. Security tokens are now working with attorneys and they're working with different regulators to offer these security tokens in a way where someone can literally put in $10 or $20. So I think that regulations will help make the scene more legitimate, and it will actually create more opportunity for people to get involved in the crypto scene. Eventually, they won't even know that it's a cryptocurrency. I'm just saying that the regulations will make it that much more seamless, in my opinion.
Okay, that's very optimistic. So thank you very much, Michael,
That's,
and I look forward to seeing how Veil evolves and what else you do with Do I Own a Shitcoin or whatever project that you might be working on. So thanks for doing this.
I appreciate it. And look, I wish the best of luck to you and your personal growth and crypto insiders. I know you guys are new, but you know that I've been supporting you guys from day one. So wish
Yeah,
you luck.
we are very grateful for your support. But Crypto Insider has been around for a while. It's not like it was created in September when we
Yeah, yeah.
launched with the new version of Crypto Insider. It has been around, and you can find articles by Jimmy Song, by Elaine Wu, and lots of people like Giacomo Zucco. They decided at some point in 2017 mostly to write articles in which they express their views. But then I guess everybody moved on to Medium, and even the old Crypto Insider has moved on to Medium. And this is a project that has some of the old writers and the new ownership. But yeah, you can see that we're new.
Cool. Well, I'm glad to be on. Thanks for asking me to come on, and I'll talk to you soon.